The way we consume and share news today is largely rooted in social media outlets, a reason why it's crucial to look at what's being discussed online. From the hottest issues to trends for our daily social media minute, we're joined by Erica via Zoom. Good morning, Erica.
Good morning.
It's even colder than yesterday, if you can believe it.
It was freezing yesterday, huh? I walked a very short distance outside and I felt like my ears were about to fall off.
Yeah, yeah.
I was in so much pain.
Yeah, so that's a reality. Taking the wind chill factor, and it is freezing to say the least. Everyone bundle up, especially if you're in the central city of Seoul. It's cold on your day back to work. Okay. Let's jump into some of these buzzwords of the day. Frankly, I'd rather be at home watching these Korean dramas. It's cold.
Same. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about K-dramas
Okay.
this morning. More specifically, a newly emerging breed of female characters
Mm,
who are taking center stage in Korean dramas.
mm.
Up until about a decade ago, I mean, a handsome, rich young man falling in love with a girl from a significantly lower social status, it was a classic plot. If we think about it now, it's really embarrassingly cliche
Mm,
almost.
mm,
That classic Cinderella story.
mm.
It's always been a really popular theme in Korean dramas. But in the past recent few years, things have been changing.
Mm.
Strong, I guess, inspiring female characters are having a growing presence in K-dramas across different genres of dramas as well. And, experts say that this trend is likely to continue for now.
I mean, it speaks volumes about what the public is demanding. If the viewers want no more damsels in distress, then they must move on to the next big thing. I mean, to be fair, at the time, we did think it was cheesy, but it was wildly popular and well
It was very
received.
watchable, wasn't it?
It was, and I don't know what that says about all of us. Maybe we have to get it out of our systems. It wasn't considered, not PC back then, but now it just makes us cringe just a little bit. Not to rain all over some of your favorite dramas, but our point being, this brand new trend is here to stay, where especially female protagonists are empowered. Sometimes for good reason, sometimes for revenge to, well, take matters into their own hands.
Yes, and this is not just Korea's own cultural critics taking notice and viewers taking notice, but I read a recent article, a feature article on CNN that also noticed
Ah.
the changes taking place. Top actresses like A-listers have been dazzling fans with a wide range of roles in new TV series and streaming service series. And, A-list names are more A-listers are scheduled to
Mm.
return to the small screen later this year. Lots to look forward to, actually. But to give you just a few examples, I mean, we talked about Song Hye-kyo recently, receiving a lot of acclaim for her role in the Netflix series The Glory, which is a rather dark revenge drama series about school bullying. There's another show apparently that's really popular right
Mm.
now. I don't watch a lot of K-dramas, but The Agency is another example.
Mm.
It takes place at a workplace. While past workplace dramas mostly involved male protagonists and their stories, this particular show, The Agency, follows office politics from the perspective of a female
Mm.
executive played by actress Lee Bo-young. She plays an advertising agency's first female executive. And, she quickly climbs the corporate ladder in spite of her underprivileged background. And this is all thanks to her stellar work performance.
Mm.
And she is the kind of character who is used to cutthroat competition.
Mm.
She doesn't hesitate to take revenge on her male rivals in the workplace. But at home, she shows quite a different side. She grapples with constant anxiety.
And for an actor who really hasn't had a lot of big hits in recent years, I mean, I think more in the headlines, unfortunately, was her happy marriage to her actor
That's
husband,
right.
Song. And that's not such a bad coverage, but still, as an working mom, I'm sure she wanted another project. And this is a triumphant comeback for Lee Boyoung. It is empowering. She is unapologetic and kind of mean.
Yes, exactly. Now, speaking of A-list actresses, Chun Do-yeon has returned to the small screen in another weekend drama series titled Crash Course in Romance. It started airing in January 14th. Now, she plays a former national handball player who currently owns a banchan kage, or a shop that sells side dishes. And she takes care of her sick brother and a cousin in high school. And the 50-year-old actress recently told news reporters that she could sympathize
Mm.
with the character who sacrifices herself for her family. I mean, Chun Do-yeon herself has a teenage daughter, doesn't she?
Ah, see, it just feels like a new genre because we're noticing more of these powerful female protagonists. It is also evident in Hollywood. It's this whole notion of inclusivity and,
Correct.
frankly speaking, more diverse storytelling. I mean, it seems that Hollywood was also subject to criticism for being dominated by white male, and that unfortunately drives certain stories forward. And the consumers kind of got sick and tired of it, and we're moving
Yep.
forward in the right direction. But if you take inventory of how many changes we've been through in the 90s and 2000s, there were blatant sexism evident. If you look back on it now, you wonder how they got away with it. It was a different time. I don't condone it, but we were oblivious to the fact that that's probably not the most sensitive way to depict women in certain ways, depict different races in certain ways. In the latter half of the 2000s, we started seeing romantic comedies. A common pairing involved poor women with wealthy men. So that
Yeah.
Cinderella story that you just alluded to earlier. And I'm sure these are all transitions, but I feel like now perhaps we have more to choose from.
I think so. And that's good. I mean, television definitely reflects the changing times. And recent years, we've seen fewer Korean women getting married and having children or choosing to have children. And those who do get married and do have children, they're waiting a little longer to start their families and to get married. And marriage is no longer necessary for these stories, fictional
Mm,
stories, to have a happy ending.
mm,
And female characters are increasingly able to have story arcs of their own.
mm. Instead of they lived happily ever after, it seems that sometimes marriage is only the beginning of these plots. They break up and they normalize those
Right.
kind of conversations, which are also evident in our social structures. I'm just glad that we get diversity. But you know what the problem is? If one thing works, we kind of jump on that bandwagon too. That's how investments are made
I
in
know.
TV drama projects. I do think there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. Balance is good.
You know what? Experts offer a range of different reasons
Mm,
for, why this change on television is happening at this point in time. They cite a growing number of women at executive levels of production, more streaming
mm,
platforms, increased women's participation in the labor force,
mm,
changing family dynamics
mm,
is one of them, the influence on foreign media, on writers, and also greater internet access, making it easier for women,
mm.
female viewers, to give feedback on TV shows.
You know, I've got to say, and we don't name all the people that have, drive us in this right direction. It took years of, I think, work and for maybe directors and creators to rise to executive levels to make these decisions. And I'm just glad to see a more different set of projects to choose from because I was kind of sick and tired of the Cinderella story myself.
A little bit.
All right, let's move on to our second buzzword of the day. Now, how to save planet Earth. There's constant back and forth because the problem is, sure, people want to save planet Earth, but we don't like inconveniences in our lives, do we? So the constant tug of war. Now, apparently, there is some incentive. Customers receive a 301 in cashable points for every beverage bought in reusable cups, at least at four major coffee shop franchises.
Yes, it wasn't long ago when the government encouraged
Mm,
customers to take back their used cups to coffee shops, and and they would receive a few hundred won.
yeah,
Nah, I can't think of the word right now. Well, anyways, if you take back a used cup, you get back a little bit of money.
yeah.
But then many of the customers said it's really inconvenient. It's like sometimes you get takeout coffee
Mm,
and you have to return to the store. It's just it's not very. It wasn't a really well thought out plan. That's what a lot of people seem to be saying at the time.
that's
Well,
right.
now consumers are going to be given 300 won, which is roughly 24 US cents in cashable points for every beverage they purchase in a reusable cup at cafes. And this is the government's new plan
Mhm.
to, reduce waste.
Because, I mean, the valiant effort, I understand, but it just wasn't effective. The previously implemented suggestions, I believe, on Jeju Island, more people were seen throwing out those reusable cups, for
Yeah.
example, that were supposed to, equal to cash incentives than actually bringing it back to the stores. All right, so the points are apparently given at select franchises, four
Right.
major coffee shop franchises in the country. Which are they?
Exactly. Under the program first, it's called the 301 new carbon neutrality points.
Okay.
Um, they're being given out at four major coffee shop
Hmm.
franchises. They include Starbucks, Paul Bassett, the Venti, and the Mega MGC coffee shops. And the points earned can be turned into cash, or they can be spent right there
Mm.
at the cafes. Now, the maximum carbon neutrality points payable per month is 70,000 won. And for those wishing to join the program, are required to sign up on the website.
Ah.
Yes. So under the program, up to 2,000 won worth of points will also be paid upon a range of eco-friendly consumption, including purchases of food in personal containers, renting emission-free vehicles, or returning used mobile phones.
All right, so some positivity in our global effort to tackle carbon emissions. There you have it. Carry a thermos, a tumbler.
Yes.
All right, and our final story today on this rather cold day, it will warm your heart. Free jajangmyeon Mondays. I'm hearing about it for the first time. What is it?
So on the third Monday of every month, there is a Chinese restaurant located in Seongbuk-dong, in the Seongbuk district here in Seoul. And the restaurant gives out free bowls of jajangmyeon noodles to the elderly members of the community and low-income residents in the area. This Chinese restaurant, it's titled 옛날 중국집, or the old Chinese restaurant. It opened back in 1973, so it's been 50 years
Oh,
already.
wow.
And an elderly couple runs the restaurant. And over the past 11 years, they have been feeding the hungry, the local residents she happily calls her family. During the pandemic, they were unable to host local residents for these free Jajangmyeon Mondays, so they gave out free meal coupons instead. But starting 3 months ago, they resumed, serving the extra hungry with not just their famous noodles, but also that extra dose of love and care we all need.
Yeah, and honestly, to keep this up for years on end, I've got to say that's a different level of dedication,
Yes,
huh?
exactly. The couple say that they're simply paying it forward. They struggled with their business,
Mm.
when they first opened, and they say they got so much help from the neighbors. They say the neighbors actually helped them raise their children. They would bring, come by, drop off like bags of food, even
Mm.
baby formula. So they're
Mm.
simply, forward and repaying the love that they have received all these years.
Seemingly random acts of kindness. It could be cyclical. You might be starting out maybe a different trend to make someone else's life a little bit better. That
You
warms
know
my
what?
heart. Yeah.
You know what exactly? The couple's spirit of sharing has recently been spreading in the neighborhood. There's a hair salon across the street that is cutting the elderly's hair for free. Another
Ah,
restaurant has been giving out free meal coupons for low-income families as well. So,
all
yeah.
right. So, listeners, it can start with something small. It doesn't have to be free jajangmyeon Mondays. How will you contribute to your community? Let us know. Thanks, Erica, for today's conversation. Stay warm, and I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.